Okay, okay. Well, so what I wanted to show you is what the Easter Bunny brought me because I do believe, and it's a snap bracelet, a magnet snap bracelet. I didn't know we had these in the store, but somehow the store got hold of the Easter Bunny and gave me this. So it's super cool. I used to use these things, and I'm sure a lot of you have this, but it's a thrill when you go like this and you go down and it goes through. Ugh. So that's not good. All right, so that's what the Easter Bunny brought me. But what I wanted to show you was John chasing William around the back schoolyard with a scooter. And here are all the toys that we have. Okay, John, YouTube is black, blank, black, blank. YouTube is doing some real squirrely things these days. A lot of this I can own, but not that. So YouTube has moved it. So where do they go, honey? Well, here we go. John's working on YouTube. Okay, so then this is Lennox. This is the picture that just kills, okay? I think I hear money. Look at that. It's so cute. Now, someone said, Rooster said she can see us on YouTube. Hey, I really appreciate all of us working on this together because this has just been frustrating as all get out. We're on YouTube, but in a different place. Access on Facebook. Then Janie said YouTube is okay for her. Weird. Technology, what can I say? Oh, so what I wanted to also talk about before I get into today's lesson, from my lips to God's ears, the angel is on. On the front page, there is a pop-up now to the right-hand side. I didn't realize you could scroll that pop-up. And basically, on that pop-up, we show you kind of all the new things. So you don't have to go digging everywhere on the site. So, okay, people are saying they can see it on YouTube. Okay, great. The other thing I wanted to tell before we get into business is um, Dee Christopher's thing on Saturday that she taught. I had never seen this in my life. And it's how we know how to make half square triangles where you take a light and you take a dark and you put them together and you sew on each side of the center line, but then they're identical, right? You've got two identical things. Well, Dee learned from somebody, and I believe she gives credit in the video, a different way to do it where you'll end up not with the same thing on each side. And I watched it, and I'm going to have to watch it again. I thought it was really cool. And I'm sorry for the blurriness here, but I was trying to the freeze it from the video. It is interesting, super interesting. Yeah, Chantel, the presentation was amazing. I am going to have to, again, watch it again. So, Dee, we are so appreciative of everything you do for us. Okay, from my lips to God's ears, we're going to start in on how to get smashing results when you work with fabric. My book was called Fabric Shopping, and it didn't sell because we all go, well, we know how to fabric shop. And so, look, at all you guys are saying it was mind blowing what Dee shared. I'd never seen it. I've been doing this, people, for 40 years. I had never seen it. Okay. And I'm going to have to watch it again. So I think it's about halfway through the presentation. If you did not see it, see it. I just can't recommend it enough. Also, if you are getting bit by what's going on with Dee, I believe we have some of those patterns, Jen Kenwell's long time gone patterns left that we'd be happy to get into your hands. So now what we're going to do, from my lips to God's ears, is go over to PowerPoint. John's in there watching. I know if he comes in wide-eyed, we got a problem. You're looking at my screen now, I'm pretty sure. Let's go. Oh, yay. Yay, yay. Okay. Yay! Yay! Ah! Let's see the angel. Okay. So when I'm in a mini group, and I remember one time way back in the day, I was in a mini group, and we discussed what is the hit when you walk into a fabric store? What is it? Is it when you walk through the door? By the way, this is Wooden Gate in Danville. Is it when you walk in and you see all the fabric? Is it when you start literally touching the fabric? Um, or when they start cutting it and they fold it real cute? It's not at the cutting table, I can guarantee. It's not at the cash register, right? So, hey, Bill. So here's the thing is that especially if you're a new quilter, it can become very daunting as you see everything that the store owner is tempting to have you open your wallet for, right? And I know I used to get really, really freaked out. So I could maybe pick 3 or 4 bolts of fabric, but then I would need someone else to wrap the deal for me. So what I'm going to do for these next several weeks or couple weeks, whatever, is I'm going to go through how I choose fabric and what I keep in mind when I do go into a fabric store, how I attack the whole thing. And I have to tell you, it wasn't really till I wrote my very first book, Quilts for Fabric Lovers, that I really had an understanding about how to go about this. So I would like to start with the 3 basics. The very, very basic thing is value, okay? And that is whether things are light or dark. And it's as simple as that. But when some people have a really hard time seeing value, all right? And here we have a bunch of lights. And typically these don't go home with us because they're often not very compelling prints. And then we had mediums, and then we have darks. And you need an array of all of these in order to get smashing results. It is what it is. And the problem is that, oh, I'm glad I'm in the corner. You go into the quilt store, there's this many lights, there's this many darks, and there's a trillion mediums. And it's because in going back, I'm really not going to want to spend, 12, 13 bucks a yard on this when these ones, like that bottom left one, is really calling my name, okay? But you need them all right? So let's play this little game. I've got 3 batiks here, and you've got the left, which is super light, the medium, which is towards the light end, but it's in the middle, and then you have the dark that's on the right-hand side. And it's all a matter of who they're dancing with to tell you who goes with what. So if I take away the light, here you can see the medium becomes the light because it's playing with the dark, okay? So let's now do another combination. Mind you, the medium really is fairly light, but it is darker than the one on the left. Now, if you have and I'm scared to death to toggle back to my face, so I'm not going to. If you have a difficult time understanding what light and dark is if you've got a smartphone, it can help you. There's also something called a ruby beholder, and it's a piece of red plexiglass, basically, and it strips out the color so you can see light to dark. On your phone, you can snap a picture of your stash and then go down into the settings, and you can take it to black and white. John, you're looking panicked. Okay.
Your face is there because you're in.
Yeah, that's fine. So here we have a combination of light, medium, dark. And honestly, if you took out the lights, it would be muddy. And if you took out the darks, it would be flat. So the other thing I want to tell you here, and we'll talk more about specific kinds of fabrics, I like to make sure white ends up in my quilts. So let's go to the right-hand side, the middle one. that has white. So I don't mean a slab of white fabric. I mean fabric with white, like the bottom left one too. That gives it a sparkle, but we'll talk about that down the road, but I just want to point out what you're looking at here. Okay, so that's light, medium, dark. All right, that's number one. Number two is character of print. When I started quilting, basically we had pin dots and calicos, and now fabric has become exceedingly exotic on what our choices are. We are so lucky. So on here, to me, this isn't as interesting. There are some different prints in there, but it's not as good as that, if you ask me. It's just not as good. So let's take a look at this. So here we've got some interesting prints here, different size, different scale, but what's lacking is the relationship of light to dark. So even though we have interesting character of print, look at that when you throw the dark in. How much more interesting is that? So you've got value as number one. Number two is character of print. Look at the top compared to the bottom. So much better. And I will. Somebody asked, will you talk about how much you buy and stuff like that? Yeah, I will. That won't be today, but yes, I am going to talk about that because I do have a strategy. And then thirdly is color families, all right? So when I'm looking at these greens here, I can see that there's many different greens. I can see there might be a Christmas tree green. I can see, say, the greens that are popping out on our trees right now. Have you ever noticed that? That when your tree starts to pop its color, it starts as kind of a lime green, and then it goes to a darker, more it ages. That's what it ages. So let's take a look at the one with the circles there. Again, there's white in there, and as well as the color families, where it says families at the top right and the side, there's white. That just, if I took out those pieces, I'm sorry, this thing would go flat. So the interesting thing, and actually I took this picture, this is from Hawaii, and if you look at Mother Nature, she does not work in one color palette. Heck no. I mean, within a color family, there's much diversity going on. All right. And that makes this 1,000 times more interesting. And I took this picture in Hawaii too. And I thought this was interesting because clearly there are two different greens going on there. And apparently, Mother Nature didn't get the memo that you can't mix those up. But yes, you can in your quilts. In fact, it's more exciting. I mean, basically, there you kind of have a darker green and then you've got a light green, and they're different. They have different base base dyes or color to it within this leaf. Well, that'd be a pretty fabric, you know that? So let's take what I'm talking about is let's take these two fabrics. They just do not go together. You can't do that. Well, yes, you can. And you can by when you're seeking fabric, look for fabric like this. This was from my first fabric line way back in the day, and it was called Color Bridge. And the idea was that you can have your old stash play beautifully with your new stash, and it's this particular fabric that bridges it all together. These fabrics are kind of few and far between, and I always keep my eye out for them. Way back in the day, Pat Campbell had some fabrics that were what I would call color bridges. Um, Greens, it's easier to find, but in like blues, reds, it's darn near impossible. And what it is it pulls all the colors of one color family together. Okay. Debbie in Australia, you can get us at thequiltshow.com. We have solved that problem. Okay, so here we have color gods. Did you guys know there's color gods out there? Yes, there are. And it's their job to make you unhappy with what you have, whether it's in your clothing, whether it's in your home deck, whether it's in your fabrics. Colors change season to season, and that's just a consumer thing, so that you want to buy the newest and the greatest. And that's when having something like this fabric, the color bridge fabric, helps to pull it all together so you can use the old with the new. So when Obama was first, yeah, I think this was when he was first term voted in, not second. When Michelle, yes, because the second she had, I remember what she was wearing. Yeah, I love seeing what all the first ladies wear on inauguration day. When she walked out in this green outfit, I thought to myself, I have never seen that green in my life, ever. So I knew instantly it was going to become a new color trend, all right? And in fact, it was called lemongrass green. And so let's take a look at her jacket again, all right? And look at this now, 10 whatever years later, it has become a color. So keep your eyes, and where I'll tell you where you can see color trends, honestly, is like when you go to Target. Oh, we can never go again, right? Oh my gosh, I've gone once in the last year and I almost got lost. It was quite alarming. So you just watch. The other thing is when we were shooting one of my book covers, John Vitale would help style them. And I'd say, look, I want to be wearing the newest color. And he'd go, okay. And I said, well, how do we know what the newest color is? And he said, pull out your Sunday newspaper. Of course, this was back in the day, and pull out the advertising section. And then you tell me what the new color was. Absolutely what? It tells you what it is. Okay, so let's get down to it. What it really is it is the color gods, going back to my dancing girls. You could go in right now, well, wait till I'm done, please, and type in 2021 color trends, and this will come up. And then this is kind of where the designers will be working from, these color palettes. So it's again, it's to manipulate your pocketbook. But this is 2016, for example. So what do you do about that? What I always do is I go into the store and I look at the color wall. Almost every single quilt shop has this, an organized quilt shop. Typically, you'll find fabrics that are the new ones that they have by the front door that you have to trip over, so you buy it, good stuff. And or say like at Wooden Gate, she has a section with all the new ones, and that's where to go. Um, so here we go on this color wall. What am I going to look at? I'm going to first look at what are the lights and what are the darks. And then within those lights, is there anything really interesting that I can really see a dimension in the print, okay, as well as in the dark. And then I will seek the color, like that lemongrass green. Do I see anything in there that's unlike colors that I've seen before? And I remember when salmon came out. Yes. And so I grabbed a little hunk of that and then I started building from there. So the first place you're going to look after you trip over what's new is you're going to go to the color wall and you're going to seek out these sorts of fabrics to make your stash super healthy and fat. So let's take a look at these greens here. And basically these are all blendy, but I would say they're light. I mean, they're all mediums. I do like how the upper left one has tips of white in the fronds of the fern. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, now I'm pushing it darker. And yeah, there's blue in there, but I will consider this as a green. And there's that white again, and there are those different colors of green. What I like about this piece is that the background has dimension to it. These are all that could go home with me. Okay, this one I just dig beyond measure. It's better actually than the one that's peeking out in the upper left-hand corner. And I believe it's because it's got more light in it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you to be discerning shoppers. Remind me to tell you about my wood shop teacher when we get done here. There's that stripe. Okay, I'm going to go back. Take that out. And just that stripe with that amount of white, kazam. There. Okay, whoops. Now we're getting different size and scale, different character of prints, and different color families. So value is important, character of print is important, and so is color family. Okay, those are the things I consider when I'm looking at a bolt of fabric. Now, on Wednesday, we're going to talk about the color wheel and how I do it. And let me get out of PowerPoint. Now, okay, we're going to light another candle. Color gods. Okay, so I want you to be able to go look at fabric and discern what you're looking at. And what that brings me to, and I don't have it here because it's actually at somebody's home being used. When I was in college, I took Woodworking 101, and actually I made a cradle that ended up in Fine Woodworking, their annual magazine or their annual book. But what Dr. Casey said to us at the beginning was, I just want you to be able to go into a furniture store and discern if you're buying good stuff or if you're buying not good stuff. So, in other words, you can go to, I want to, he goes, I want you to understand what dovetailing is. I want you to understand what the wood quality is. I want you to understand all that stuff. And then with that, you can make intelligent decisions. And so, as again, mine went a little farther. He was actually the Shaker, West Coast Shaker Authority, and he got my cradle into this magazine. But from that, I now um, can look at furniture. Okay, from that, I want you to be able to assess what the heck, how is this going to fit into your collection, and what's the job that it can do. And in the course of the next couple weeks, we're going to go through everything from how much to buy versus to different sneaky ways that I get my color combinations together and all that good stuff. Now, some of you were asking about the quilt behind me, spinning spools. I'm going to go like this. This will be our next sew along, and this is going to start the beginning of May. And I know I said it was going to start at the beginning of April, but my pants apparently were on fire. The reason we changed it was because a situation with the getting the fabric and getting it to everybody and all that. So if you want, you can take this class for free. And we do have kits that we will be putting them together and getting them in. I can, if you want to do it out of your own fabric, fabulous, but I'm pretty much in love with this. It's called Kaleidoscope by Andover. You will be using a product called Quilter Select Cutaway and also Print and Piece Fuse Light and the glue stick. I'm trying to think. I think those are the things that you're really going to need. The rest are kind of negotiable. And so I can't wait to get started on that. It's a really super easy, fun block. Also, if you didn't see Shelley's interview on Friday when I couldn't bring up the screen at the end and get me there, please go watch it. Shelley is our producer to thequiltshow.com, and it was a fun interview, and it will give you an idea of how our shows have the energy that it has. And it's because we've got a class act #1 producer that came from another venue. And so she has merged two sorts of venues together beautifully. So I'm really happy about that. Okay, I think I know it looks like silk, Chantel. My girlfriend Robin knows I'm taking watercolor classes, and she thought it was painted. The stuff is beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. And even if you choose not to do it along, when we get more fabric in and bundled, I would grab it because if you make this quilt, you're going to pretty much go through all of it. All right. So, okay, thank you, John, for putting that up. And I got this from Margot this morning, and this is the truth. This is the truth. So, as I say goodbye I thank you so much for putting up with my nonsense. Thank you so much. I think we've got it figured out. I think we do. All right. And make sure you watch Young Means Lee's show. It is fabulous, absolutely fabulous. And you will fall in love with it just like, um, fall in love with her just like I did. And I want to tell you the tie presentation that I did in the beginning was marginal because I could just get through it. That was the morning after my mom. And I made myself watch it the other day and I thought, okay, that's not as bad as I thought it was. Somebody asked, when do I wash my ties? I can't remember, but I think I would take one tie, throw it in the washing machine, see how it fares, and then deconstruct it, and then put on your foundation. And I use Fabric Prep for that, Quilter Select Fabric Prep. Just take the ugliest tie and give it a try, and I think you'll be fine. And that said, we taped a show in Texas where the person said, I don't wash the ties. So as we get into the world of silk, we're going to find that everybody does it differently. But I can tell you one thing, we all love our silk. So, okay, we are going to talk about the color wheel on Wednesday. I hate the color wheel. Um, Okay, I'm going to read this from, I hate the color wheel, but I know how to work it. Okay. Tina says, your quilting style has changed dramatically over all the years I've been watching you. As all quilters, we learn to grow over the years and develop our style and techniques. Yeah, no kidding. And I'm doing some guild presentations and I'm doing stuff that if it was hanging in a show, you would not know it was mine. In fact, you would bet the bank against it. So that's fun. And I think that's why we don't tire of this whole thing. Okay, I'm starting to ramble. Not cool. To Chantel, hola, and I will say adios. Have a nice day. And this is what Margot sent me, and I will guarantee you all relate to this. And I guess I see Caroline's question here, and I'm still here. What you're going to be using, and let me go back to my camera. What you're going to be using is the fabric prep, no, the cutaway. The Quilter Select cutaway is what you'll be using to do the base of the spools with. And then, believe it or not, the swirls are appliqued on top. It's super easy. So, okay, guys, have a good one. Bye bye.